I'm talking to Phillip Jensen about church. The Blues Brothers in that movie years ago thought mistakenly they were on a mission from God. Well, Jesus really was on a mission from God, and if we're following him, so are we. So is church a missionary organisation?
Congregations themselves are not. Congregations are the gathering together of God's people. But God's people are missionaries. Yes, we're all missionaries, not just the ones who go overseas. I used to think going overseas was what a missionary was. And seeing I grew up in just one part of Sydney, I thought crossing the harbour was pretty close to that. Certainly going to another city, which I won't mention by name because we don't want to alienate anybody, that was deep and dark.
That's foreign mission.
But no, missionaries are people who choose to live where they live by the gospel they're seeking to preach. Now, all of us need that mindset. So I grew up in a particular part of Sydney that I still love. I love it, I suppose, because I grew up in it. That's just where you're familiar, that makes you feel home. But my decisions to live there have nothing to do with I love that part of Sydney. It's got to do with I want to reach those people with the gospel of Jesus. And because I want to reach those people with the gospel of Jesus, I will go and move and live there. Now, most Australians, where they live is determined by where they can get the best house for the lowest amount of money with the smallest mortgage and those kinds of considerations. There's a very famous high school out in the western suburbs of Sydney where there's lots of people go and live just near it so their children can get a really good education at this famous high school. Christians need to live where they are going to take the gospel to other people, and they need to think of themselves as missionaries if we're going to reach this country with the gospel of Jesus.
It tells us something about the members of the church, the people in the congregation. You've got a minister who is paid and who teaches the gospel and teaches the Bible and provides the leadership and that. But we often say, oh, we believe in every member ministry. And then we don't say what the ministry is. But it seems to me you're saying the ministry is to be a missionary.
To be a missionary, that's what it is. Now, as a missionary, there's all kinds of different tasks I may do. I may be the contact person. I might be the evangelist who explains the gospel clearly. I might be the prayer person who really organises prayer for the local area. There's loads of jobs missionaries do, varieties of jobs missionaries do, but it's a mindset, it's a heart set.
It can also involve having secular work. I mean, we can send a bloke to Africa to practice medicine, and he practices medicine, but he knows he's there as a missionary, so he's sharing the gospel with his patients and involved in the local community. Well, he could do that in Sydney or Melbourne or anywhere.
That's right. I've known of people who have refused to take promotions so as to make sure that they're working their 40-hour week rather than their 60-hour week so that they've got enough time to teach Sunday school classes so as to be able to reach children. I've known people who have chosen to live in houses close by high schools and things like that because they run after-school programs for young people. It's a mindset of how am I framing my life that the Lord Jesus can be glorified here. I've seen people leave jobs, IT jobs, engineering jobs, physics jobs, where you meet very few people in order to become teachers in schools teaching that kind of material. They lose a lot of money. You learn a lot more money as an engineer than as a high school teacher. But as a high school teacher, you meet a lot more people to share the gospel with than many an engineer does.